Viltrumites are established to be the strongest alien race that we know of in the show. They're ruthless in combat, they don't hold back, they fight with intent to kill and seek to dominate those they deem lesser as a means of bringing order to an unknowingly chaotic world. They're like a troop of Thanais with the Infinity Gauntlet. They don't treat their own kind or slaves any better, especially the kids. It's a dog-eat-dog world for them. Only the strong survives. So while there's no racism amongst their society, there's definitely ableism. If you can't function on the battlefield, then you're as good as dead. On the other hand, you have humans, which in just about every sci-fi media are depicted as lesser or the inferior species. But what humans lack in strength, we make up for in our humanity. The ability to care, empathize, nurture, and help those around us. Well, yes, there are humans that don't quite fit that build sometimes, but my point is, humans in the Invincible universe are viewed as mere mindless animals when compared to the oh-so-brutal Puritans that are the Viltrumites. Viltrumites are cutthroat, humans are enduring. Viltrumites are unnerving, humans are emotional. Viltrumites uphold toxic masculine traits, humans uphold feminine traits. Now, before I dive into this analysis, it's important to establish some definitions of the so-called buzzwords the internet forgot their original meaning of. Masculinity and femininity can vary among culture, ethnic groups, and history. But for the sake of simplicity and the fact that Invincible is a Western comic adaptation, of which I am far more familiar with, we'll draw from Western understanding of these traits. Theoretically, masculinity sets a societal expectation for young boys and men to be protectors, fighters, and natural leaders. This leaves little to no room for men to be emotionally vulnerable, and their pride prevents them from seeking help. Why do you think it's a stereotype that men don't ask for directions when they're lost? That's weakness. Just as femininity is a set of societal expectations for young girls and women to be emotional, quiet, and docile. This prevents us from experiencing our own strength and leadership. Your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents didn't stay together for love. It was because your granny couldn't have her own bank account and had to be reliant on old pops. Now knowing the basics, you'll have a better idea of their toxic variants. Toxic masculinity pressures men to uphold their strength, which can breed misplaced arrogance and prevent them from being emotionally vulnerable. Toxic femininity breeds narcissism and yields other women's potential by policing their choices that's outside of the traditional means. Two sides of the same coin that upholds a toxic, patriarchal society that hurts all of us. For the sake of my interpretation, I should clarify that I view the Viltrumites as exaggerated masculine traits and humans as exaggerated feminine traits, which they both display throughout the series, but to be clear, there's more than just two genders, and the expression of it lies on a spectrum itself, which tends to blend within each other. Take Alan the alien, for example, the last of his species, genetically modified to fight the Viltrums. And one of the best characters in the entire series, Alan is charming, lighthearted, and optimistic, but also strong, protective, and cunning. He walks the line of displaying healthy masculine and feminine traits, which doesn't make him weak for showing either. It makes him a well-rounded character and all the more easier to approach. And on the other hand, we have someone like Adam Eve, who I want to do my own analysis on in the future, but a TLDR of that is, started out as a strong character, went off to school, but somewhere along the line being with Mark has just circled back to just being there for Mark and being his personal cheerleader while also dealing with her own problems with her powers, which unfortunately ties to a pregnancy plotline, which I hate for women. Ugh. That's kind of leaning into toxic femininity and how they're presenting her. Yes, a woman, your role is to be there for the man, be docile, be quiet, don't upstage the man. Yes, you're in that skirt and heels so you can manage the man's business. Yes, that's a good little cow. Know your place in the farm. You've greatly lost the plot. Let's move on. Enter Mark Greyson, a Viltrumite human crossbreed raised with human values such as feelings and the greater value of life. When starting his hero journey, he had to learn to keep his strength in check in order to cause less harm to those around him, which can be contributed by his mother, Debbie. Debbie, oh my god, she's my favorite character, top tier. Her show adaptation is even better than the comics from what I've heard. The moment Mark started to feel himself a little too much with his newfound powers, she made sure to check his ass.
Mark, you need to sleep.
I need to practice.
Honey, it's the middle of the night. I have work tomorrow, you have school. Get inside right now.
Make me.
Does that make you feel strong? To know I can't physically make you do something? Is that what you need?
This is important.
Remember when you were little and we'd talk almost every night before you went to bed? You'd tell me about whatever jerk made fun of your hair, and I'd tell you about all the girl drama I lived through so you'd feel better. I can't talk to you while we soar through the clouds, but I'm still here. It used to be you and me, and this crazy world-saving superpower father of yours. Now it's you and him, and your boring old normal mom.
Mom.
It's okay, sweetheart, I get it. You have to move away from the normal life with me and get used to being something more, like your dad.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm worried about. I'm nothing like Dad. I'm more like you. I'm nothing special. After everything he's done, how can I possibly live up to all that?
Who says you have to? You don't have to be the greatest Omni-Man ever. You just have to be the greatest you.
And what if the greatest me isn't enough?
Mark, you stupid boy. How could the greatest you not be enough?
Thank you. I love my boring, powerless, everyday run-of-the-mill mom.
And I love my asshole son.
I think Mark's true strength doesn't come from how hard he can punch or how fast he can fly. It's his ever-evolving morality. The father he idolized turned out to be a planet-conquering monster that makes Mark question his own place as a hero. When forced to let go of his literal humanity in order to save the Thraxan planet, Mark embraced his Viltrum strength, but worried he'll become more like a Viltrumite, more like his father, which is evident in his fight with Dinosaur, a Bruce Banner Hulk-esque one-off character Mark almost killed, to having made a difficult decision in killing the host of the Sequids, Ross Livingston, who was an innocent bystander unfortunately taken over by an unrelenting alien hive mind. My thoughts on it? While it was not an ideal situation, Mark ultimately saved all of humanity by ending Russ. But Mark, rightfully so, wrestles with the very concept of ending another life. Once again, fearing he'll become just like his father, which we see explored in Season 4, Episode 4, Herm, the fandom's self-proclaimed worst episode, but it's one of my favorite of the series. Another video for another time, but what I love about this episode, it gives Mark a much-needed breather before diving into the war, but also questions his established beliefs. Literal Satan and demons have to help him come to terms that killing has its place so long as it's for the greater good. Mark's role as a hero, as a protector, as a man, is balanced with having outlets that allow him to explore his emotions. Mark can have the best of both worlds, mental health-wise, but compared to the rest of the Viltrumites, they're suffering. I'm not gonna mince words, because we've all seen it, we all know it. Viltrumites are fucking terrifying. They prioritize strength over family, children, their own kind, and slaves. It's ingrained in their culture and upbringing, but they're still capable of feeling. It might be a foreign concept that takes outside influence to fully get there, but they can do it. Nolan felt devastated to see the near-end extinction of billions of his people. He was Viltrum's most loyal soldier, lived for hundreds to thousands of years, exterminating every species that could pose a threat to the Viltrum Empire. And yet, just merely 20 years on Earth with Debbie, the GOAT, was enough for his cold steel walls to develop cracks. That end of Season 1 beatdown, purely inherited from Nolan's upbringing. The 500 years speech, in hindsight, felt like Nolan trying and failing to convince himself of the greater mission. His conflicted expression reflecting shame, anger, and confusion after seeing the blood of his son and several other humans on his hands. Seeing the value in Mark and humanity made him realize just how much he developed the ability to care in general. Witnessing the Thraxans be invaded and slaughtered by his fellow Viltrumites made Nolan frantically question why he even cared for them. Nigga was developing empathy and couldn't even understand why. Kinda hilarious. And ironic. Now Nolan knows how those other species must have felt when they were wiped out. Conquest is evident of the Empire's might makes right mentality to the worst degree. Despite being Viltrum's best warrior and most sufficient soldier, his very strength is a double-edged sword for his social life. He's lonely, has no one to talk to, and even if he did have a friend to confide into, Viltrumites won't give a shit. He truly is a victim of his own success. But I find it very strange and telling that people kept calling Thrag weak when he didn't even get to do anything yet. Retreating to keep the remaining Viltrumites alive to spin the block for another battle is a smart strategy when you're on the losing side. As their leader, Thrag holds the heaviest burden to never show an ounce of weakness in front of them. You can tell from the voice direction, he speaks a lot softer to the skull of Argol than he does to the other Viltrumites. That skull is his only outlet to be vulnerable in front of the late leader he looked up to. It keeps a psychological hold on Thrag to uphold the Viltrum Empire and succeed by any means necessary. For a Viltrumite to be vulnerable is a death sentence, so seeing folks call Tightfade weak is horribly tone-deaf to me. That skull is probably keeping Thrag more sane than most Viltrumites. It's more than Conquest had, that's for sure. That's why I find it so interesting to see them get upset and put in their place. Nolan majorly fumbled with Debbie, and she has every right to not forgive him, let alone take him back. But in the comics, I don't care what happened in the comics. The series is making changes anyway. Watching a Viltrumite be face to face with genuine disappointment because their actions have consequences that they can't simply punch away, but have to use their words to resolve. And even then, they suck at it because their toxic masculine society allowed no room for emotional vulnerability. That's why Nolan saying he didn't love Oliver's mom just to satisfy Debbie didn't work, and Oliver to be rightfully pissed at him even more so for not meaning it. All men do is lie. They lie to get out of situations they cause because they can't stomach the pain they cause to others because that would require them to see other people as people and their equals. Wasn't this about Viltrumites?
Why not both?
The point is, Viltrumite culture shares some heavy ties with toxic masculinity, which applies to all Viltrums. It doesn't matter their race or gender personally, because it's all just toxic. Valuing strength left their society a walking time bomb of mental and emotional distress that makes them vulnerable to outside influence or being a self-destructive monster. It obviously doesn't excuse their horrendous actions. I just love diving into how characters think and making sense of it. Oh, I wish that didn't have to be explained, because the moment you show an understanding for a complex character, people just assume you're defending them. Defending? Defending from what? Nolan still sucks, and not just our eyes, but a majority of the cast. I love that he was able to make amends with Oliver, but even then, that took months. A character redemption arc for the history books. Move aside, Zuko and Peridot. We got a new runner for best redemption. But that's all I have time for y'all today. If you enjoy, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, hype, all that jazz. Okay, I love you all. Bye!